So this week we decided to recreate one of the judges' masterclass recipes, Jock Zonfrillos butter chicken with naan bread. Okay, first thing we need to do is get the chicken marinade ready. And it calls for garlic and ginger paste. So, I've gone ahead and peeled up all the garlic and ginger I need. Just going to bang it in my mortar and pestle here all at the same time. And then we're just going to go ahead and pound this up into a paste. Once you've got your garlic and your ginger mashed up, and you've got all your other ingredients for your marinade ready, you want to get your chicken. Now in the recipe, it calls to cut the chicken into 4 pieces. Because in the recipe, they thread it on some skewers and they cook it over a tandoori oven. I don't have a tandoori oven, obviously. So I'm going to leave mine whole, marinate them just like that, and then I'm going to be cooking mine on the barbecue later. So I'm going to leave them whole like that. If you have a tandoor oven, by all means, cut them up, put them on skewers. But I'm leaving mine whole because I'm going to cook them on a barbie, and it'll be a lot easier to cook them on the grates when they're whole. So, you want to get all your ingredients there. Got my garlic and my ginger all mashed up. Lemon juice. I got salt, pepper, and chili powder. So we'll get all that in, then we'll get it all mixed up. Make sure you get all your chicken marinade. We'll cut it in all the spices and the lemon juice. Just give it a good massage and mix. Alright, once you got it all mixed in, I'm going to put a lid on this and I'm going to stick it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Okay, after your chicken's been marinating for about 30 minutes there, I've already gone ahead and mixed up the second part of the marinade. Now with the labneh, if you can't find that, you can easily make it yourself. I've already got a recipe on here. Essentially what it is just yogurt and salt, and then you let it sit in the fridge in a strainer for a night, and then it brings all the whey out, and then you're left with labneh. So, all the amounts and ingredients that are in this second part of the rub will be on the website, traditionalbutnot.com. So we're just going to go ahead and spoon all that in there. Don't be shy, and then we're just going to go ahead and mix all that in with the chicken. Once you've got all that mixed in, obviously going to go clean your hands, and then we'll cover this back up and stick it in the fridge for another hour. Okay, for the bread, you could do this by hand, but it is extremely hot here at the moment, and I don't feel like kneading it by hand. So, in my stand mixer, I've already got my water and sugar measured out. I'm just going to break up my fresh yeast, and we'll put a bit of salt in there as well. Also, in the original recipe, it calls for using, I think it was dried yeast with dough conditioner. I don't want to use any dough conditioner or anything like that in mine. And also, it calls for bread flour, which I had all-purpose flour at the house, so that's what I'll be putting in. So we'll go ahead and dump that in. I'm also changing out the yogurt component for skyr. So we'll get all that in. Also for my labneh, before, I was also using skyr for that when I made that. So, now you get a little thing in, dough hook on, we'll close her up, and we'll start bringing it together. Okay, dough's been mixing away for about 5 minutes there. Now, this dough is going to be quite sticky because they stick it to a tandoor oven, which, as I explained before, I don't have one, so I won't be doing that. So I'm going to just remove it from the bowl here. Yes, as I said, this dough is going to be quite sticky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of oil down on my board, and I'm going to turn my dough out onto that. So I've just got some damp hands here, and also I've put a little bit of oil in my bowl. So I'm just going to swoosh that around a little bit. Now the reason why I put some oil down on the board is just to stop everything sticking while I form this into sort of a rough little bowl shape here. Okay, now I'm going to plop this back into the oil bowl, and we're going to cover this with cling film until it doubles in size. It should take about, it's quite warm in my place at the moment now, so it's going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. But we'll come back when this is doubled in size. Okay, to make the sauce, I've just got some oil in a pan here over a medium heat. I'm going to add the garlic and the ginger. I'm going to add the tomato paste and all the spices. So we'll just give this a little mix up, get it all incorporated. As I said, we'll keep this over a medium-low heat so nothing burns, and we'll just let it cook away for about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. Okay, I told you a little fib before. Just cook that off for a few minutes, not 5 minutes. Just over a medium heat. Then after that, we're going to add the water. And now we're just going to bring this up to a boil, and then we'll reduce it to a simmer, and then we'll just let it simmer away there for about 15 minutes or so. Once you've got a little light simmer there, we'll mostly cover it, just leave a little crack, so it can reduce just slightly, and then we'll let that go, and we'll come back in about 15 minutes to finish it off. Okay, as you see, my dough's doubled in size. Now I'm just going to flour my work surface. I'm going to tip this out, and we're going to cut this into 6 equal pieces. So this dough is very sticky because, as I've previously said, it's meant to be sticking to a side of a Tandoor oven. So don't be afraid to use a lot of flour when you're rolling this out. So I've got a lot of flour on the board. I just sort of pat it out, flipping it back and forth to cover it in flour. Then just get the rolling pin and we'll roll it out to around 20 centimeters, or about the size of a dinner plate. As I said, don't be afraid to use a lot of flour. It's just on the outside, it's not going to be in the dough. So once we go to cook it on the grill, we'll just we'll pat it all off before we actually stick it on there. So, okay, as you can see, I've already gone ahead and done the other ones, and I have stacked them up on top of each other, which may not be the greatest idea, but I've made sure I've put a lot of flour in between the layers as I've been putting them on there. I've already preheated my grill, so now we'll go outside and cook them up. Forget what I said before. Don't stack them up on top of each other, because obviously mine's stuck and now I've had to roll them out all over again. So just roll one out or two out and then cook it, but don't stack them on top of each other, otherwise you're going to have to roll them twice like I am right now. When your grill's nice and hot, go ahead and slide your bread on and just wait until it's nice and brown on one side and puffed up, flip it over and cook the other side. Alright, once it's cooked, put it onto a plate with a Tikka. So now we're going to toast off some seeds. Got some coriander seeds here and some mustard seeds. Alright, we'll just toast these off lightly and then we'll add some butter to infuse. You can see I've toasted off my seeds just lightly. Now I'm going to add some butter. So at the moment I've got the heat turned off and I'm just using the residual heat in the pan to melt this butter down. Then once it's melted, we'll pass it through the sieve. Okay, as you can see, the butter's all melted. Now, the trick is to pour this butter through that sieve without spilling any. Let's see if we can do it. Okay. I'd say that worked out quite well. Okay, now we're gonna paint this onto the naan bread. Okay, so you just wanna give it a good healthy dose of the butter. Pour all over. This is buttered chicken after all. Right, once you get a nice healthy dose, some of my nigella seeds here I've just toasted off. You just want to sprinkle them over, and the naan's ready. When your grates are nice and hot again, you want to get your chicken, cooking it off. Alright, once you got some good colour on one side, like so, go ahead and flip them all. Also at this stage you can start putting a little bit of melted butter over the top. After your sauce has been bubbling away there for a little bit. Now, in the original recipe they say to use jaggery, but I'm going to use brown sugar instead. So I'm going to add that and the fenugreek, and we'll just mix that in real quick. Alright, once you got that mixed in, you're going to add the cream, and you're going to add some salt in there. So we'll get all that combined, and then we'll give it a taste. And I almost forgot, we're making buttered chicken, and I nearly forgot to put the butter in. So we'll stick that in, we'll get it all melted down, and then we'll be ready to taste it for seasoning. As you can see, I've already pulled my chicken off the barbecue, and I've let it rest for, it's been about 5 minutes. So I'm going to cut these up into pieces, and then we're going to put it through the sauce. So we want, I would say, some nice sized chunks. So something that looks a bit like this will be just fine. So I'll go through and cut them all up, and then we'll head to the stove and put it in through the sauce. Okay, once you've got your sauce how you like it, and your chicken's all cut up, you just want to add it to it. Try not to splatter the sauce all over your camera lady, if you can help it. Hazards of the job, I guess. Alright, now we'll just gently mix that through, and that's ready. Okay, even though it's quite hot here today, and we're eating some chili chicken, chili butter chicken that is, it should be good. The sauce is so creamy and indulgent. It has quite a kick to it. Now I make my flatbreads a little different to this one, but we'll see how this one goes. While this one's good, I think mine's actually better.